Good morning. My name is Derenoncourt and I am the Gender Smart Investment Specialist working in the sustainable financing of the CGIAR. It's a pleasure for me to be here to give you this presentation around gender and climate finance. So under the UNFCCC, there are financial mechanisms that provide the resources needed to the different governments for their actions around mitigation and adaptation. These instruments, such as the Green Climate Fund, for example, are the vehicles where the funds are managed and are deployed to the different countries. And when we look at up to now, in 2020, there was $632 billion that was deployed worldwide within the climate finance. And looking at the different activities, adaptation, mitigation, we see that the tagging these interventions specifically for women is something that still has a progress to be made. When we're looking at the deployment of these funds, mitigation dominate with 90% share with solar energy, onshore wind, and decarbonizing of construction and other supply chain. Adaptation comes in at a smaller share of 7%, with initiatives going into water and wastewater management. At the local level, government expenditures 2% go to agriculture, and at the development finance level, 1 to 2% development finance portfolios are deployed to agriculture. In the private sector, only 6% of assets under management of impact investors go to agriculture. And then when we dig deeper, we see women only get 7% financing, 5% extension services, and this can be summarized as a 320 billion shortfall in terms of credit needed for women-led SMEs. So women-led agri-SMEs really present the opportunity for the transformation needed in agri-food systems to achieve the resilience in the face of climate change, as well as the nutrition security, because from the research, we know also that the participation of women within climate smart agricultural activities ensures the adoption of these practices and the long-term sustainability within the communities. But the constraints still exist, and from the demand side, there's a lack of gender inclusive financing options. There's a lack of capacity both on the business and also on the technical aspects, and the lack of support system from institution and also business networks. On the supply side, investors and bank report the lack of deep pipeline and investable opportunities, women-led or scalable business models, high-risk perception of the agricultural sector, and lack of data, and an enabling environment that is needed for them to be incentivized to invest in the sector. So within the sustainable finance team at CGIAR, we're focusing on four aspects: capacity building for the investors and also the SMEs, pipeline building to find the SMEs and matching the needs of the investors and the SMEs, co-creating gender responsive financial products to really take in consideration gender dimension in designing financial products, and utilizing disaggregated data to build cases that can be appropriated by the investor community to make these investments. So looking at the women's empowerment framework, we're looking at the gender specific constraints. What is needed the intersectionalities of vulnerability related to gender in terms of the business model and in terms of the CSA approaches. And that is something we need to dig deeper. From the asset side, how do we increase women's access to land, to resources, and to gender responsive financial products? And on the work side, what skills are needed for women to be more involved into high growth potential subsectors, how to help them with the mobility constraints within the agricultural sector, and how can they play a bigger role into the green economy job market. That's all we have for today, and thank you very much for your attention.